Approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes.
Second motion to approve minutes.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of claims.
Make a motion to approve claims. We do have some questions following the meeting today.
Second the motion to approve claims.
We already had discussion on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
Second motion to approve payroll.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Public comment. Got a crowd here today. Surely someone has got some public comment. Sorry I'm running a few minutes late. I worked all night and I had 2 hours of sleep, but I'm here. Sure no one has any comment yet. Good to see a nice crowd here today. First of all, for new issues, we have Gracie York, Court Collections.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can everyone hear her when she talks?
No? You want me to talk louder? I came a couple months ago to try to get collections going for the office. I had sent Kylie some paperwork to give to you guys because I knew Brittany had some questions and wanted some references that the company had, which they provided. I just want to get the contract signed to go ahead and start collecting those funds because it looks like we have about $420,000 some odd dollars of uncollected fines and costs and things like that.
And we expect to receive how much of that in collections?
They'll go back 10 years, so I didn't go back and add all of that. I'm hoping that they can eventually collect all of it, but at this point going forward, it would kind of just hold those people accountable for actually paying what they owe. Because at this point, if they don't pay, it just gets reduced to a judgment, so there's really no consequences for not paying.
Right.
John Spur, is there a statute of limitations on the collection of the debt?
Different kinds of debt, but 10 years is the outer limit. So.
Okay. Other counties you checked with, usually just what we were talking about?
I asked the clerk chain email that we all have who they recommended for collections, and this was the one that came back most recommended by all of them.
Their fee is?
We don't have a fee.
They charge it to the?
They charge it to them. I believe it's 30%. That's what it is 30%.
I assume that's probably the maximum allowed by law.
I would assume so.
Don't know either, but.
I don't know that either.
Okay.
I just know that after we turn it over to them, they handle all of it and they cut us a check and we apply it to.
How often do they report back to you?
Every week.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
And for how long is the contract for?
You know what, I don't think they specified in there. I think that they would just do it as long as we
Still have outstanding collections?
Yeah, and going forward we could continue to use them as long as we like the way that it worked out and things like that.
Are those accounts bills is set there, or they actually should have been entered in some way as far as a judgment against someone, and you know what I mean, saying there's an aging account? Or if when they try to collect these, will something be eventually they will file something against them as far as?
If they don't pay, the collection agency will then be the one to file after them and potentially take them to court if they choose not to pay.
What I'm saying is that something they will also do?
Yes, they handle all of it.
Okay.
Because they get their percentage. So we don't really touch any of it other than getting our check back and putting it onto the case that it needs to be applied to.
And where do the funds go that are collected?
Everywhere.
To the general fund then?
Well, no, there's stuff that goes to the county, there's items that go to the state, there's a broad
Percentage to everywhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
probation, the court,
They're designated funds?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably the majority of them will go to the court, because that's usually what you handle in that situation, right? No state ones?
we send a lot of stuff to the state auditor too.
Okay.
And I think we did the check that we cut to the county last month, I believe, was around 21,000, so it would help a lot.
Can make a motion to approve the Eagle Accounts contract with the, for the clerk's recommendations.
Second the motion.
Discussion? Have it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There's a copy of the contract in there that the three of you will also need to sign, just because I wanted to do it that way,
Okay.
so.
One of the questions, since you're
Yeah.
up there, we're all settled for the city election as far as the polling places, that's all? There's no issues you have or anything we need to?
Not that I am aware of yet,
Okay.
but we don't have to approve those until a little bit later, so I'll come back to you guys in the fall.
Okay.
So, okay,
Very good.
thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Take a look at it. Sheriff Holcamp, requesting improvement funds for new taser and body cameras.
Morning.
Yeah.
There's been discussion on how to spend some of the ARP money. Unfortunately, we're at a point where we have to upgrade our tasers and our body cameras, and they're both extremely expensive, and I don't have anywhere near enough amount of money in our current budget to cover it. I sent the three of you a packet, I think a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you had time to read it, but to break it down, the tasers, this and the cost can be spread out over, for all this, over a 5-year period. It doesn't have to be one lump sum. But for the tasers, for myself and for all the merit deputies, is around $50,695. Now that quote expired at the end of June, but I'm sure it's still close. But we were able to get a $12,000 grant through LCC to help pay for that. So over the 5-year period for the tasers, the cost would be about $7,739 a year for 5 years. And at the end of that 5 years, we would go back to them.
So it's really 35,000, 36,000.
Yeah, well, whatever 12,000 is from the
49.
50,695.
Yeah.
The body cameras for myself and the merit deputies. Again, over 5 years, it can be split up, but the total cost is $61,141. Broke up over 5 years, it's around $12,228. And then if we get down into the dash cams, it gets a lot more expensive. Whether or not you want the plate readers added to the dash cams, with the plate readers, over 5 years for the sheriff and all the merit deputies would be $186,290. Without the plate readers, we're looking at $147,412. No, I don't think we need I don't need a plate reader in my car. That would be silly. I'm not out on the road as much as I used to be in patrolling and stuff. But if we split it and went 6 plate readers, 6 regular dash cams, with the tasers and with the body cameras, and then you figure in the grant, I've got basically roughly around $53,337 a year for 5 years. If we did all of it, that's for all of it.
Getting back with RJ started the process of the way that we're supposed to have the application sent in. We got an update on that?
Yeah, he'll have that presenting to us at the next commissioners meeting. It'll be an application for you to apply to, an organization. So, yeah, he'll have that next meeting.
Okay.
And
What's
you
your
said that,
What's your timeline on this, Mike?
I mean, the sooner the better, but we're getting by with what we got. But our tasers are all 15-ish years old. Our
So-
body cameras are.
So more or less, it would be $270,000 for your body cams, the tasers, a few plate readers.
278,687. That's if we did everything with the dash cameras. Six of the dash cameras have plate readers, 6 do not.
Okay. And for people who don't understand the plate reader, that's where you can stay in the vehicle, and the vehicles would read.
It's constantly scanning.
Yeah.
It helps locate stolen vehicles, wanted people, Amber Alerts, missing people. So it's constantly scanning plates.
Yeah. And you're also not putting your deputies in harm's way going up to the vehicle with these plate
Sure,
readers as
correct.
well.
And then also the nice thing about all these cameras too, compared to what we have now, is they're all cloud-based. If the guys are spending hours, at their 12-hour shift, they're probably spending an hour and a half to 2 hours or more downloading all their video that then they have to send to the prosecutor. If it's this is all cloud-based, where the prosecutor can also just access a link and get all the videos that they would need for whatever particular case we'd be working on.
Yeah.
You say you had $12,000 funding for one part of it?
We got a $12,000 grant from LCC, LCC for the tasers.
Okay.
And then Chad filled out a grant for $24,000 to help with the body cameras, but we haven't heard anything back yet.
Well, regardless, Mike, I think it's probably something you guys are going to need, regardless if it comes from the improvement fund, I think is what we're calling it now, or if it's just county general. Like Tim said, we are creating a process for people to, apply for this improvement fund money, but I do know in the past we gave out funds for, joint for internet, and then we also did the CPR, the strikers, which were several $100,000. As one commissioner, I can't speak for the other two, I would have no issue approving or at least moving forward on this $278,000 today. I believe it's prudent. I believe it's the safety for your department. It's the safety for the citizens. I just believe it's prudent to be done. I'll leave it up to the other two commissioners, but I would have no problem approving the $278 today from the improvement fund or the county general or the rainy day, wherever we need to get it from.
Do you have this in was this budgeted for this year? It's a
No.
pretty good size amount of money.
Yes, no, this is nothing that's in the, but we have a fund and a line item that helps with cameras and stuff like that, but nothing come close to this in our budget, no.
Do we have a schedule for future where this just doesn't come up? within a
Brenda and
few
I were
weeks?
talking about that this morning. When budget hearing time comes around, start working out a plan moving forward to where we upgrade so many a year, so the cost is not such a one-time hit.
Okay.
The body cams are on a 30.
If you talk, you gotta come up here. So everybody can hear
A little
you.
bit more onto the
Introduce
way
yourself.
this works. Chad Hennis, Chief Deputy. The body cams are on a 30-month replacement, so at 30 months we get 12 new body cams. The dash cams at 5 years will be replaced. Everything's covered full warranty. All taser cartridges are included into the quote, so if we use 100 a year, that's almost $3,000 that we're going to save because it's included. All training cartridges for the tasers are included into it, so it's if we break a taser, if we break a body cam, if somebody crashes a car and the $10,000 video system gets lost, it's covered. So it's got a pretty good warranty with the program and the replacement. 5 years, we renew the contract with Axon, so it's going to be through. So, anything else?
One of the things since it's not a urgency, I mean, it'd be nice you had them today, but one thing I would encourage while we're trying to get the process set up is try to find some more grant money if you can, because it looks, the whole thing about ARP money, I think, is you already showed that you've done part of it, and the more grant money you can get, it helps with that situation, and I think it's a very positive thing what you're wanting to do. I think the process, you still need to go through the process we got or being set up, and then I would encourage you to see if there's any other grants. And I'll be open if I can find some. I'll definitely send them your way, and maybe that will also help with that balance. So
How would that application work? Then do I come back, bring it back to you, or does it just go out and go to the council?
you can just bring it back. You could leave it today. I mean, as long as we have something in writing, would you say to look at?
You talking about the application for ARP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the ARP goes just through the auditor, and then we accumulate that and score it and decide what we're going to do.
That's what I'm saying. He's wanting to know where he could drop.
So just give it to Brenda?
Auditor,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a very positive thing. Like I said, the whole thing about ARP money is, I know from my standpoint, is the more people I see them put forth effort to subsidize that, I think it makes it a whole lot attractive too. But I support you 100%.
Just forewarn you though, that money's been spent 10 times over of what projects we have already, just what the commissioners came up with, not counting what everybody else is coming up with. So
Right.
it's
Correction on that, it hasn't been spent, there's only been a portion of it actually spent.
yeah.
The rest of it has
When I
not
say
been.
spin, I mean,
Yeah. it
Sure.
has not.
Requested.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah, we'll entertain it, and I think it's a good thing to do, and put the paperwork to us, and we'll work on it. for
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Okay, next we're gonna have a very popular person up here, Mark O'Hara. Okay, and we're gonna get him back in here in a few minutes, how's that? Vermillion County Bicentennial, 1824 to 2024. Bicentennial Committee, what do you got on that, Rick? You got?
I don't have anything. I just,
You
except what I
wanna
put on
see if we wanna
this.
do it, is that what you're?
Yeah, it's our 200th anniversary coming up next, the bicentennial's coming up next year. So if there's anything that we wish to do as far as Vermillion County goes, or as far as the
I
committee
wonder what
goes.
is the actual date on that?
It's April, I have that written down somewhere. April, I think, or no, it's February something.
Okay.
I may have that in here.
There's a lot of history to that.
Anyway, it's
too.
available. But it is, starting 2024 is the bicentennial. I'd like to see us have a committee maybe put together to do that, that might be interested in it. A select committee, and have to have maybe 5. That one may have more than 5.
Okay. I would definitely be in support of doing.
February 1st, 1824.
February 1st, okay.
Say again?
February 1st, 1824.
Okay, February 4th, okay. Yeah, I would,
But anyway, it's only gonna happen once, so.
right. Okay. And you got budget consideration, if we want to get, we would still, do we have anything we draw out of that, or would we have to go to council for approval on it?
Well, that's why I'm saying, if we can appropriate monies in the budgetary process so that we have monies going into
Okay.
February.
And
Now,
you'll
if we
make
need
a-
anything starting January 1st, we would need to maybe give them an allocation now, or, so if we're spending it before the end of the year.
Okay, and you got some different recommendations, the 200-year commemorative parade, year-long events at city towns, music on the courthouse lawn. I mean, a lot of good ideas. Courthouse and annex open house, bicentennial yearbook, celebration of cities and towns, and farmers market on the square, courthouse light show, and fireworks. And I think everything there anything could be discussed. I appreciate you bringing some
That's
recommendations.
just a shotgun approach to ideas, so.
When would you want to have a committee formed by?
Be nice next meeting to have names available and
Okay.
to be able to start. That'll give us almost 6 months before it starts, so that's not any time too soon. In fact,
Okay.
most big things that go on usually take a year to plan, and so we're down to 6 months. So it's not any time too soon.
RJ, you got anything to say about that?
I think it's a good idea. I think the budget consideration is too low. I don't think $50 would be enough to celebrate 200 years, but, huh? Yeah, 50. I don't know, it looks like a dot there on mine, so it's like 50.
Be careful.
There is
It looks
a
like
dot.
$50.
Everybody, it's okay, we're not spending 50,000.
I think it needs more than $50, but no, I think it'd be something cool we could work with the town of Newport and really celebrate. So,
How much a
We're not
decimal
spending
and
50,000.
comment make a
yeah,
difference.
that's very true.
Don't start that. But we will spend some money, and it's a good cause, and like you said, it only comes once, and it's 2
When I
years.
put 50,000 down, I meant 50,000. You'll be surprised what these things are going to cost by the time we get done with the year.
The big thing is the history of Vermillion County. I think it would be the real thing to key up on. You know, the different courthouses have burnt down. I think the courthouse burnt down twice, I think.
It's 3
Well-
times. We got the record in the state.
Maybe we don't want to put that out there, but, I mean, the history of Vermillion County would need to be really brought forth, and I think it'd be,
I think you got all the high schools that reunion type things or whatever can happen in each of the towns, and there's a whole host of things that can happen here. It's just a matter of whether we have the interest or not.
so if anybody wants to be involved in that, get hold of Brett and Luther, Commissioner Luther.
Sure. Now, get a commissioner or get a committee chairman and take over.
Good idea. Okay, next we have open issues with the DHS enhanced funding, opt-in, opt-out, 2024, 2025.
I'd like to say on that, the health department was here the other day and done a really nice presentation. I couldn't stay for all of them, but I do appreciate all the details they went into and all the documentation, all the hard work they did. My personal opinion is I'd like to see the Vermilion County opt in to the state funding at the recommendation of the health department. I'll make that a motion if.
Oh. Well, I'll second the motion as long as we have discussion.
Yep.
I think it's a very good situation to be in as far as our county, and I think that needs to be brought out. Some people don't know what opt-in means, and when I first seen it, I thought the county was going to have to shell out a bunch of money, and that's not true. Correct? What they do, they look at the money to opt in. It's the operating money that's already allotted or given to the health department is actually the money that you use to opt in. Am I right?
Yeah.
So really, we're not spending no more money. And so, big thing is when you say something here, if you say something about spending money or money in, it's very important that you let people know that really you're not spending it. It's money that already been appropriated for the health department, and we're just using it for the opt-in money. And so really there's, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no cost to the than the normal ordinary cost in the budget. So I support it 100% too. So well, you want to say something, Britton? Go ahead.
Dr. Markey, you're still of the opinion that you're a favorable opinion to this opt-in? You haven't changed your mind?
Sorry, I should ask you to come speak anyway.
I'm hearing impaired. Did you say?
You're still favorable toward the opt-in portion of this? You haven't changed your mind or anything has come to light since the last couple of weeks?
No, we have not, and I did bring these just to kind of.
Sorry, I should ask you to come up.
A little bit about the monies and like I say, we will not know an exact amount until after September when all of the counties have decided what they're gonna do.
Okay.
And that tells us how much funding, that we have left. The extra monies will be divided amongst the people who did opt in. And I brought the, paperwork here, the resolution for you to sign. So yeah, if we're opting in, we're agreeing to take the state funding that was passed earlier this year by the, government, that was initiated by Dr. Fox from the State Health Department, and she had been working on this for several years, and in Indiana, our public health is, below the mark, well below, compared to the rest of the country, and so the big initiative, and the governor was behind it. It was to put more money into our public health system to try and improve the health of our citizens, where we are in the lower quartile for several things, and just offer more services. So, and that's what we will do with the money. There are requirements on how much we can spend on what. The 60% has to be spent on, as you can see the list there, it's long, and then, so at least 60% has to be spent on those core principles, and then no more than 40% can be spent on the other areas in which we work. So this will allow us to add services that we don't have currently, to get some extra help to provide those services. It's got in here the public health funding match, which we are well above meeting already with our county funding. And so this page here shows you what it would be for next year, and then I think the year after that, maybe it even goes down, but, so the county is responsible for still providing the, can't remember, it's 25% of our funding. This is not a grant, it is just, state funding.
On the allocation of funds, are you going to have to add to your staff with this allocation? Are you going to have to add to your staff to be able to administer this allocation of funds from the state?
We don't have to, but.
Are you?
We will, yes.
Okay, and these funds will be sufficient to cover that, correct?
Yes.
When you say a minimum, these minimum maximums is not taken in.
Yeah,
The
like
county.
we say, so we know for sure that we'll get the minimum,
Okay.
and then we can't get more than the maximum. We're gonna fall somewhere in the middle there because of the counties that have not opted in. So then that money will be split
Okay.
amongst the counties who did opt in, but we can't get more than the maximum.
Okay.
So we will probably get more than the minimum listed here, but we won't know those numbers until September.
And those numbers are the amount that the state's actually giving us.
Yeah.
Those numbers are what the state would actually give us, not counting our match.
Right, they would just
Okay.
appropriate it to us.
Okay.
Dr. Margaret, what most people, to understand as well is basically the health department's just getting a big increase in funding, and it's going to be spent how the health department sees within those guidelines. So really, there is checks and balances.
There are checks and balances, there are key performance indicators that we must meet to continue to receive the funding. There are, there are stipulations, certain stipulations of things that do have to be met, like the Tobacco Cessation Coalition, that has to be done. So there are certain things that have to be done, and then they do give you a lot of freedom, to spend it where you see that your county needs it. They're not saying every county has to do this or every county has to do this. They're allowing us to pick and choose what we need and spend the funds in that way.
And I'm confident myself with our health department that you guys will spend these monies in the appropriate ways, and it'll benefit the citizens of the county. So I really look forward to seeing the budget increase from the state funding and you guys doing good things with the money.
That's what we're hoping for.
Tim, if there's no other comment, I'll amend my motion for this resolution. Do we have a number for the resolution? 2023-8.
You have this sheet.
Yep. I'll amend my motion to make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-8, a resolution of the Vermilion County Commissioners accepting state public funding.
Second motion.
Discussion. I think, as we all agree, that it's a positive thing. Look forward to seeing the money spent and see some positive change, some positiveness of it. And
I think so.
we are going to be working on this water testing. I think if you guys have any money, and Soil Conservation Service and the Weeds Commissioners and the Health Department, I believe that the combination of the three funding sources will make that a very attractive thing to do also. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing up. I really appreciate you coming and speaking.
If you would like to get a photograph after the meeting.
Okay. We'll try to make this meeting a little shorter for you.
Was our timer 5 minutes too? Wasn't it a hard timer?
We're moving along quite well, so. Union Hospital Annex lease agreement?
That was sent out last, I don't know now.
I think
Thursday. It's not all that important we get it back today. It was sent out for comment. It has markups on it to respective parties. My email's still down at home, so I'm way behind on things. So by the end of this week, if you could make your comments or any additions, corrections, changes, or anything that you'd like to see different on that. It's accumulation of Dr. Margaret's, Wendy's comments, the coroner's comments, Dr. Wheat, and negotiations that had with Stephanie Laws with Union Hospital. So it's a markup of the Union Hospital, the attorney's agreement, I guess, if you will, which was quite different than what we had been talking about in a lot of ways. And,
Can you briefly
hopefully-
cover, state what's going on with that, because some people in the audience does not know.
The agreement, what it is the Board of Health is currently occupied, or is at 257 Walnut Street, which is an office that's been taken from a residential and made into an office or commercial space. It has no parking, no handicap parking to the premises except for a driveway that goes up to the garage. The garage was refitted with environmental controls in order to be able to make it an office and storage facility. The rest of the office is primarily a waiting room. Well, it's basically the same as the residence was, with the same walls and things that were there before, of which the Board of Health has doubled up either in storage space with personnel, with testing equipment and supplies. It's not, they make it work, and it does work fine, I guess, for them. But it's at a cost also. We have the opportunity to move over to what I call the Union Hospital Annex, which is across from Clinton Hospital, a few blocks away from where they're at now. It was a convalescent center initially. It was turned into doctor's offices, and then now it's houses Ileana, which is the ambulance service, which takes up about half of that facility at this point. The rest of it is offices that have been they're dormant now. They put things into it for storage and whatever for the hospital. They're in the process of taking all that out and turning it back into offices again. The premise is that the county would take over the annex. Ileana would decrease their footprint in there in favor of the reception area and the filing, retrieval, clerical area being reclaimed to the Board of Health, and Ileana continuing to operate in a reduced footprint. The rest of it would be offices for the Board of Health and then also for the coroner. The parking situation is such that it's all on single level, so it's ADA. The building is ADA compliant. The parking is ADA compliant, and it has room for multiple vehicles there on premises. So that solves an issue that's been an ongoing issue with the other location. The idea is to move in potentially if we have a favorable agreement with the union, which is not a guarantee by any means. By September 1st, we'll have some additional costs up to $28,000 for movement of network communications and equipment, furniture, etc. So most of that falls into network and communications, reestablishing that and tying it into the existing courthouse system. What else is there? Everybody will have their own individual offices. The space will be much more conducive. It'll be conducive to their programs, outreach programs, and being able to cater to the public much better than what they are capable of doing now. They won't be stacked on top of each other. Going forward with this new opt-in program, they'll need additional space, is what it's coming down to also. So we had agreements we had verbal representations made going into this period, and the agreement that was sent didn't quite reflect those, and so that's where we're at now. We have the markups out for responses from Dr. Market, from Wendy, and from the county council, since they're going to have to do a little additional appropriation here, the $28,000 or so, and then also to the commissioners who are going to have to approve that. So it's a far better facility. It's also gives us other opportunities of building the ambulance facility there if we wish. It also has the heliport there with Lifeline and the hospital across the street. So it kind of puts our health complex all together where they can maybe communicate better, work together better, and hopefully provide a better health system as far as physical facilities go.
I think it's a great idea. I've been there, and usually I go in there and meet with camera, the past inspector, and then the room's not, their office is very, very small. And so I think it's a quite an improvement.
The other addition is it gives the coroner an office. Right now, the coroner has no office space, and it's all private held. We'll be able to share reception where phone calls for the coroner can go to actually a central location where we're not having this problem of cell phone issues, voicemail issues, mailing issues. We'll have that centralized where coroners from here and the next coroner and the next coroner, whoever that may be, won't have to have a file or transfer of files and who knows whatever else paperwork or for that matter electronic information goes. So I think it's going to be a positive all the way around.
Oh, yeah.
But we have to come to agreement yet, and that's not a guarantee.
Okay.
So
We'll get it updated at the next meeting, hopefully, right?
I'm hoping, well, maybe. These agreements sometimes take some time, so
Okay.
I'm not sure that we'll have any more to report next meeting,
Okay.
but we'll see.
Good idea. Mark, you want to come and make your presentation?
What am I talking about? The storm? Oh, burn ban. Okay. We had a meeting a week ago, tomorrow, so last Tuesday, fire chief, sheriffs, myself, and discussed the continuation of the burn ban. They were all for it. I'm proposing we do a 30-day burn ban, actually take it to the end of July. We did get about 1.5 inches of rain over this last 4 days. That's still not enough rain to get us out of this situation. But if it continues, maybe by the middle of the month we could rescind the burn ban. But right now, it's my recommendation and the recommendation of the Responder Association that you guys continue this. Okay. You have a copy ahead of you. Another thing I'd like to do, and I'm springing this on you guys for the first time, I meant to email it to John last week, but I just haven't had a chance, is have a county ordinance, a burn ban ordinance. With that, there would be fines for people who break these rules. Right now, you're just kind of operating a public nuisance, and there's other things they can get you for, but this would actually put some teeth in a burn ban. I do have copies. I typed it up last week. I took this just from other counties. John, if you want to pass them down that way. It's pretty basic. Basically says, this is the reason you have a burn ban. It says everything the burn ban has. It cites Title 10, and then it goes with if you break this ban, the first time you break it, it's going to cost you this amount, and this amount, and it just goes up from there, and things that they can do to you. Most people understand there's a reason for a burn ban. There's some people who just are going to argue about everything, and they don't care if they burn down their neighbor's house because they had to cook a hot dog out over a fire in the backyard. With this burn ban, it doesn't say you can't have a fire in your backyard. It just says that you have to be a responsible adult, put a barrier around it, be prepared to put it out if you need to, have water available. We've had people request during our last month's burn ban to set off fireworks. As long as their fire departments are prepared, they're prepared, it should not be an issue. But it's just all a matter of taking a few minutes and making sure that you're doing things the right way, not endangering your neighbors. Yeah.
We'll put that and John, you look over that and see what you think and make recommendations next meeting.
I can email you the one I did, so you can just tweak it from there. I'm sure there's probably an and that needs to be something then, an and instead of an and or something.
While you're up there, we might as well talk about what you can tell us about.
Current situation, for those of you who don't realize it, we had a storm go through last Thursday afternoon. It basically put about 4,000 residences and businesses in the county out of power. Majority of us went at least a day or so. I live in Dana, and we got power back sometime on Friday night. It was on when I got home. The northern part of the county is doing a lot better than the southern part of the county. As of this morning, Duke has us listed as about 1,300 residences still out without power in the county. Just to give you something to go by, yesterday morning that was about 2,500 residences. So they're making progress. A lot of these smaller fixes that they're doing are getting the bigger grid put back together. But for the people who have driven around, it's not just the power company putting a power line back up. It's a tree company coming and cut the tree, and the tree company can't cut the tree until the power line's out of it. So they got to coordinate everything to get all the people there together. And I think they're doing a pretty good job. We had a good contingent of trucks in the county on Friday night, which was basically 24 hours after the disaster. Or it's not a disaster right now, it's a storm. After that storm, it took them 24 hours to get here. Some of those people came from Michigan. You know, by the time they get them put together and ready and going, it's a period of time. It's just to be expected. I would hope that by the end of today, we're down in the 400 and 500 residences without power. No residences is my hope, but I would think we'd be doing pretty good. St. Bernice still has a big problem. The Universal and 1780 South area has a big problem. South end of Clinton's got some problems still. And then there's just pockets around the county that need to be put back on. I think Hillsdale still got a little bit too. Yesterday the city of Clinton opened up their community center from 8 to 8. They had a total of 3 people there. None of them were really there because they needed a cooling center or a charging station. That door was open and they came in just to look around. Today they're going to be open from 1 to 6. Okay, so if people if they just want to get out of their house and go somewhere else, they can go there. I also recommend, you have libraries. They can go to a library. They can charge their phone at a library. They can read a book. There's things to do there. They go to the community center, they're going to just have a place to sit, maybe talk to their neighbors they show up to. I haven't had a chance to verify today that the community center in Perrysville is open. They were opened yesterday. They didn't really get anybody there either. All of the firehouses in the county are ready to open. The ones that are manned obviously have people there all the time. I know Help Fire in Dana has had people charging their phones and stuff there until Dana got back on the grid. But if people need to go to their local firehouse and there's nobody there, they can call the sheriff's department at 765-492-3737 and tell them that they need to go to whichever fire department, and then they will tone out that fire department and open it up to them. Okay. Fire departments have generators, air conditioning. Might I also suggest that people in this area need somewhere to go, come to the courthouse. You got a big old auditorium downstairs, and as long as it's during courthouse hours. The firehouse in Newport does not have a generator, but they do have commercial power right now, but they really don't have a room. So I will have a press release for this a little later. I'm still nailing down the numbers and the times and stuff on everybody. Hopefully it'll be out within an hour after I leave this meeting. But I think we're doing pretty good. There's been a few requests on Thursday and Friday for people who are running out of oxygen and home care, stuff like that. Call 911. The fire departments and EMS are ready to come out and help you out. Fire departments can get you oxygen, EMS can get you oxygen. Worst case scenario, I bet a sheriff's deputy would run and get you a bottle. We got any questions?
Mike Clark has said there was roughly 19 county employees and roughly over 300 hours of time involved in cleanup. I'm
going to sit down with him on Thursday and put together everything. I don't think as far as a FEMA claim we're there, because we're like $65,000 we have to make, and we didn't have any large infrastructure damage. This is where our money comes from for that.
But that's not going to be no disaster relief, you think? We're keeping track of it. We told them.
What could help us, Vigo County, I don't know if you guys have been down to Terre Haute or anything, half of Terre Haute is still without power. There are 30,000 residents without power right now in Vigo County. There's like 29 something, I think, this morning on the Duke site. But if they get a disaster declaration, we're a contiguous county to them, and we can get in with our smaller claim at that time. Okay. And there are different money streams besides FEMA. The state has a disaster relief fund, which is derived from fireworks taxes, and they open up that sometimes too for something like this where you just have a hardship in your county.
Okay.
I do need to talk to the 3 of you guys for about 10 minutes after this meeting.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you, Mark.
We are still in the process of applying for ready grants for that. I don't know if you sent that. I sent that information out to you the other day, that the grant money, when it's coming, and what is the statement. You've seen the statement?
Okay, I didn't see that yet. I did get the one from the architect with all, has some drawings on it, 400 some pages of information.
Yeah.
I haven't read that yet.
Okay.
But and that's more you guys, I think, than me. I'm not an engineer.
Okay.
When it gets down to those things, but it seems like that's really progressing.
Yes.
If we need to
We'll
get
be
our group
after
back
the ready
together, we
grant as soon as
can.
it comes available. I'm after that. So.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Just quick, is there a burn ban in effect?
Yes, there has been for a month.
Okay, and so what's that do to fireworks?
Like I said, if there's a big fireworks show, like Clinton City Fireworks, the one's on Sportland Park, I think it was last Saturday, they make sure the fire trucks are out there, they're all ready to go. They had fireworks at the county fair. They made sure that the Cayuga Fire Department was out there with trucks ready to go in case something starts. You don't want to let
So
it
only home fireworks?
Home fireworks,
We'll see if they want to go and take
you
their
know,
picture. See
if
if
you're
they have
responsible, we're not, we can't stop people from doing this stuff. There's not a law. You know, so now I'm really happy you're bringing this out for everybody to know, Kim. But you know, there's nothing they can do to stop these people.
So people who have debris all over, they're not allowed to do
Well,
that?
as long as the state fireworks law, which I am no legal expert, the state law on fireworks says that you are allowed on certain days throughout the year to light off fireworks. Okay?
I'm not talking about fireworks, I'm just talking about all the debris that's everywhere.
They're cleaning up their debris, burning, so.
Oh,
It's in a-
for these trees and
It's
stuff.
in a pit.
Yeah. And if you have debris to burn that's in a pit that's 24 inches high, and you're able to put water on it if it gets out of control.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that there's a 1/4-inch mesh barrier you can put over the top, so expanded metal,
Yeah, we have that.
then you can burn.
Okay.
The same with a bonfire in your backyard. A burn ordinance does not say you can't do that, it just says you have to be responsible about it.
Okay.
You can still light up a charcoal grill, you can still do those things.
That's one of the questions I kind of have, because I'm doing some excavating now, and I got a pile of brush. You know, so if I have equipment there to handle that.
Well, first off, does that really have to be burned today, that pile of
No,
brush?
it don't.
So
No.
those are the kind of things that you gotta look at, you know, is my field around this pile of brush dry?
Right.
Is my neighbor's field dry?
I'm just saying I have control there in case something would happen. I
Right,
mean, I got big
right.
equipment, I can push, I can shove, I
But,
can.
but like all the debris from this storm and people got their trees and they stack them
Yeah.
up, they don't have to be, first off, they're probably green, they're not gonna burn for a while. You know, stack them up, put them to the side, and when we get, 75 inches of rain in a half hour, get out there and throw a match on that, you know?
There is a state law, there are laws though, that if you are burning and if it gets out of control and it crosses your property line, you are liable. And so if you burn a house down, you're liable. If you burn a car down, you are liable. I went out on one fire run, it started out as a wildland fire, ended up being a car fire. Next tone came out 2 minutes later, house fire. So it progressed from a wildland fire to a car fire to a house fire. We had 3 different trucks running at 3 different times, depending on what that was. So if it crosses the property line, DNR will be out there and you are liable for all those damages. And don't count on your insurance covering your tail for that either.
And you got a 10 mile an hour, 15 mile an hour wind blowing, it's dry, you got grass, and the fire gets in the grass, it's gonna go. You're not gonna stop that. You gotta
People
get
think
way
it's
out of
so
it.
easy to put a fire out and it's so easy to get out of control. It's just, you get a spark the wrong direction and it only takes a small one to do that.
One of the things I want to ask you all came to get, we want a picture today, if you do, and we could take a recess. Paula, Dr. Market?
I'm sorry?
We could take a recess where you get your picture if you didn't want to stay for the entire meeting. You're welcome to stay, but I'm just give that
That'd be great.
If you want to get out earlier, I'm just,
She just said yes.
okay, that'd be fine. Well, where you want to do it and how you want to do it, and we'll compensate,
Let's go to recess
I
then.
don't know what, I'm not ready.
let's go in recess and then we'll get that resolved.
Can we step outside on the steps?
Wherever you recommend.